You know what's crazy? When the people calling the game can't hold back anymore and have to call out what everyone's been seeing all season long. That's exactly what happened when ESPN's lead broadcast team of Ryan Ruocco and Rebecca Lobo finally had enough during Sunday's Fever vs. Wings game. And trust me, what they exposed is going to make your jaw drop. Before we dive into this explosive moment that has the entire WNBA world talking, hit that like button if you think refs should call games fairly for every player. And if you're new here, subscribe because we're about to expose what's really going on behind the scenes in women's basketball. Picture this. Caitlin Clark is out there getting grabbed, held, and basically mugged on every possession. And the refs are acting like they're watching a completely different game. But Rebecca Lobo, a WNBA legend and Hall of Famer, wasn't having it anymore. During that Sunday afternoon clash between the Indiana Fever and Dallas Wings, she broke down every single foul that the refs mysteriously couldn't see. Here's where it gets wild. JJ Quinerly was all over Clark like she was playing street ball at the park, not professional basketball on national television. And Lobo, she went full detective mode. There's a grab, there's a hold, there's another grab, she called out, her frustration bleeding through the broadcast. Ryan Rowe jumped in immediately, backing her up. All of those are fouls. But Lobo wasn't done. She doubled down. All of those are fouls. Every single one of them. And here, that's a foul. That's a foul, and finally they call the shooting foul. The emphasis in her voice said what millions of fans have been thinking. This isn't normal, and it's not okay. Now here's the thing that makes this even more significant. This wasn't some random commentator with an agenda. This is Rebecca Lobo we're talking about, one of the most respected voices in women's basketball. When she speaks, the entire basketball world listens. And Ryan Ruocco? He's been calling games for years and knows exactly what fair officiating looks like. For both of them to go this hard on live television tells you everything you need to know about how bad the situation has gotten. But wait, it gets even more intense. This isn't just about one game or one sequence. What Lobo and Ruocco exposed is part of a much bigger pattern that's been happening all season long. Remember when Sophie Cunningham literally had to become Clark's bodyguard because the refs wouldn't protect her? Yeah, that actually happened. Cunningham straight up said it after getting ejected for defending Clark. I think the refs had a lot to do with that. It was a buildup for a couple years now of them just not protecting the star player of the WNBA. Think about that for a second. A professional player is saying the refs are failing so badly at their job that players have to take matters into their own hands. And it's not just Cunningham. Stephanie White, the Fever's head coach, has been fined multiple times for calling out the officials. After one game against the Liberty, she went off. I thought she got fouled. I think it's pretty egregious what's been happening to us the last few games. The disrespect right now for our team has been pretty unbelievable. Here's what really gets me. White said something that should make every basketball fan's blood boil. Everybody's getting better except the officials. Boom. Mic drop. She's saying the players are evolving, the game is growing, viewership is through the roof, but the referees are stuck in the Stone Age. You want to know how bad it's gotten? Let me paint you a picture. Clark has been poked in the eye, had her eardrum ruptured, been shoved to the ground by Marina Mabrey, and gotten raked across the face by JC Sheldon. And half the time the refs act like nothing happened. It's like they're watching the game through foggy glasses or something. The crazy part is, this reminds me exactly of what LeBron James went through early in his career. LeBron literally said he had to start flopping and selling contact because the refs wouldn't call obvious fouls on him. He was so strong that when players were slapping his arms and hacking him, the refs just ignored it. So what did he do? He had to turn into an Oscar-winning actor just to get a whistle. Now Clark is in the same boat. She's trying to sell these fouls, not because she's soft or looking for cheap calls, but because she's literally getting assaulted out there and the refs are looking the other way. It's self-preservation at this point. But here's where the story takes an even crazier turn. After Lobo and Ruocco's broadcast exposing the refs, the reaction was absolutely insane. Fans who have been screaming about this all season finally felt validated. One fan tweeted, "The WNBA desperately needs to implement merit-based hiring processes for their refs. She is being reffed differently. It's beyond ridiculous at this point." Another fan got even more real. "I started watching the WNBA because of Caitlin Clark. I stopped watching the WNBA because of the WNBA." Ouch! That's the kind of thing that should have league executives losing sleep at night. But not everyone was happy with Lobo calling out the obvious. Some fans actually had the nerve to say she was being biased or fangirling over Clark. Are you kidding me? If pointing out blatant fouls that everyone can see on replay is now considered bias, that's like saying a weather reporter is biased against sunshine for mentioning it's raining. One bitter fan even wrote, ESPN fire Rebecca Lobo, Ryan Ruocco, and Holly Rowe. Yeah, because that's the solution. Fire the people telling the truth instead of fixing the actual problem. Makes total sense, right? Here's what these critics don't understand. Lobo has been around the game forever. She's called out plenty of players, including Clark when she deserves it. But when you see a player getting mugged play after play with no calls, what are you supposed to do? Pretend it's not happening? Stay silent while the integrity of the game gets flushed down the toilet? The timing of Lobo and Ruocco's comments is crucial too. This came just weeks after the whole Cunningham incident, where she literally had to fight JC Sheldon to send a message that someone needs to protect Clark. After that game, even Rashid Meziane, the Suns' coach, admitted things had gotten out of hand, though he blamed Cunningham for retaliating. But let's be real here. When the refs let games turn into wrestling matches, what do they expect to happen? Players are competitive. They're going to protect their teammates. And when the officials won't do their job, chaos is inevitable. What makes this whole situation even more frustrating is that we're talking about the face of the league here. Clark isn't just any player, she's bringing millions of new fans to the WNBA. She's selling out arenas, boosting TV ratings, and making the league more popular than ever. And this is how she's being treated? Imagine if the NBA let defenders maul Michael Jordan or LeBron James without calling fouls. The league would step in immediately because they understand you have to protect your stars. Not because they deserve special treatment, but because when the best players can actually play basketball instead of mixed martial arts, the product is better for everyone. The statistics back up what everyone's seeing too. Despite taking a beating night after night, Clark is only averaging 4.5 fouls drawn per game. For comparison, some players who drive to the basket way less frequently are drawing more fouls. It's not adding up, and everyone knows it. But here's the thing that really proves Lobo and Ruocco were right to speak up. Just hours after their broadcast, social media exploded with clips of missed calls from that game alone. Fans were creating compilation videos showing foul after foul that went uncalled. It was like a crime scene investigation, except the evidence was right there in high definition for everyone to see. The league's response? Crickets. While fans, players, coaches, and now broadcasters are all saying the same thing, the WNBA seems content to let this problem fester. They'll upgrade a foul after the fact, like they did with Mabry's shove on Clark, but that doesn't prevent the cheap shots from happening in the first place. Here's what's really at stake. This isn't just about Caitlin Clark. It's about the credibility of the entire league. When refs won't call obvious fouls, when players have to become enforcers to protect each other, when coaches are getting fined left and right for speaking the truth, you don't have a professional sports league. You have a circus. Becky Hammon, one of the most successful coaches in WNBA history, said it best. People are dropping like flies with concussions. There's been too many shots to the face. This is a physical game. I don't think anyone's trying to hurt anybody. However, there are some vicious ones. Think about that. We're not talking about hard basketball plays here. We're talking about shots to the face, concussions, and injuries that could end careers. And the refs are just letting it happen. The solution isn't complicated. The NBA has a last 2-minute report for close games. They have an off-site replay center. They invest in training and developing their officials. The WNBA? They have none of that. The refs review their own calls on a tiny monitor courtside. There's no transparency, no accountability, and clearly no consistency. What Lobo and Ruocco did on Sunday wasn't just commentary, it was a public service. They used their platform to shine a light on something that's been obvious to anyone watching. They risked criticism and backlash to tell the truth. And you know what? More broadcasters need to follow their lead. Because here's the bottom line. If the people calling the games can see the fouls, if the coaches can see the fouls, if the players can see the fouls, and if millions of fans can see the fouls, then what exactly are the referees looking at? The WNBA is at a crossroads right now. They can either fix this officiating crisis and let their stars shine, or they can keep letting games devolve into street fights while fans tune out in frustration. The choice seems obvious, but apparently not to the people running the league. Until things change, we need more moments like what Ruocco and Lobo gave us. We need people with platforms and credibility to keep calling out the nonsense. Because if they don't, who will? The irony is that Clark keeps showing up, keeps playing through the contact, and keeps putting on a show for the fans. She's doing her part to grow the game. The least the league can do is make sure she doesn't need a bodyguard to play basketball. So next time you watch a Fever game and see Clark getting mauled with no whistle, remember that Sunday afternoon when two respected broadcasters finally said what needed to be said. They put the WNBA on notice, and now it's up to the league to actually do something about it. What do you think? Are the refs failing Caitlin Clark and the WNBA? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you made it this far, you're a real one. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications because we're going to keep exposing the truth about what's really happening in women's basketball. Until next time, keep watching, keep supporting, and keep demanding better. Peace out.